It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. Just acknowledging knowledge with no scholarships. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. Breaking everything down, tech to politics. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. We don't tell you what you want, we just give you what you need. It's Topic Thunder, it's Topic Thunder. News, brews, and views from these Chi-Town streets. Topic Thunder.
You heard the man, ladies and gentlemen, setting sail from the decks of the USS Rapapa. It is Topic Thunder. If you like what you heard, check out our friend of the show. They call me Biz. They call me Biz. Check them out on YouTube. It's fantastic stuff. In the meantime, settle in, ladies and gentlemen. Pull up a chair as the Internet Saloon is open. We call it Topic Thunder. My name is Brooks. That guy's name is Ben. And we're going to be serving up conversation in shot form. So belly up to the bar. We gratefully call the world's most dangerous chat zone the Thunderdome, and we welcome
enter at your own risk.
Absolutely, it's a place for a fruitful discussion. Again, that's what we do here.
The third member of the show is the Thunderdome. Really,
I would say the star of the show, right?
Oh, yes. Without question, way more intelligent than either of us.
Bringing up points that we would never think of. It's that weird Rubik's cube that kind of fits here on Wednesday nights.
It's amazing that two middle-aged white dudes are allowing people with other opinions to have a voice. It's rare on podcasts these days. You don't see a lot of podcasts or shows like this truly doing interactive with the audience. Everyone is all about them, and you can see the comments, but they don't interact with the comments. We truly appreciate and view you guys as a third member of the show. You guys provide content, you provide the laughs. I appreciate you guys so much. I know.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And we got the first member of the VIP club, the very important parents club, stepping in. Ma Jordan saying hi. I know Dad F and Brooks will be here. So it's again just a round table without having to be at a round table, or I guess even a table at all.
Right. This is what I always looked at it like. It's like this is like the old days back at OBT where we'd have a party and you and I are just sitting on the couch and having a conversation, and people just flood around us, and we're just having all kinds of conversations of what's going on. We're all having a good time. We're doing it. You know, I'm in Texas, you're in Illinois. We have listeners from all over, Illinois and Indiana and
Russia occasionally.
Russian bots sometimes.
Yeah,
so
they like to check in, see how we're doing. But one quick, just to quickly rewind back here. Oh yeah, absolutely. Played the song. Why the hell not? That two middle-aged white guys having an open discussion and open to other opinions. Ben, that's why we got kicked out of that meeting.
I know.
I think Rogan was the keynote speaker of that one too. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, we like to sling information and conversation and have ourselves an adult beverage every now and then. That's why this segment's called an adult beverage. Go ahead. And honestly, truly, tonight's segment's brought to you by red wine.
Yes. Woo!
It's an off-brand Malbec. That's all it is. I don't know.
We're gonna have a hell of a time if we're drinking cheap red wine. We're gonna by about 40 minutes from now. Let's check back in and see how Brooks is doing.
Just see where check the temperature, not me rectally, especially. You don't want to not up for that type of accuracy. But and here's Dad F and Brooks. So What's OBT? Oh yeah, I guess OBT was mentioned. That's a whole nother podcast.
That's like an offshoot. Like one time we just like we get a round table together and tell some OBT. But for long story short, it is a apartment building where 4 of the 6 apartments were occupied by friends of ours all at the same time. And
I think everybody in the chat room actually has been into OBT except Gigi Amy Cleaver.
Even Ma Jordan, I think, has been there.
She was. I remember it. That was when we thought we could redo wallpaper. We could take wallpaper off it. Narrator says they could not remove wallpaper correctly.
No,
just giant patches of just drywall ripped off, or like still wallpaper, big patches. Yeah, it was.
Well, we would have epic parties on a weekly basis, nearly every weekend.
Legendary place.
Legendary. It was fun. It was a legendary stories. Supreme versus Sailor Dave on a weekly basis. It was fun shit. Imagine parking lot of Grateful Dead concert.
Oh, in the house.
Yes.
Most accurate to date description will be
Ma Jordan, where's my bunk bed?
I own the top bunk.
Indeed.
For a long time.
We're bunkmates for a long time. Yeah.
Man, what was that? MLB 20.
Yeah.
It was the show
that game to this day.
Yeah, we
or MLB. It might have been a different version of that. Right. But it was a baseball game.
Yeah, making ridiculous characters and ripping through. Like, I got 102 home runs and 370 RBIs. Like, I was the MVP, the AL MVP, the NL MVP.
Yes, walking into the glass. How many people walked into that glass enclosure around the door? At least 4 or 5 that I'm aware of. Remember the people who left the face print? Someone I remember hit it so hard they left the face print.
It was it was oh wow. I don't
someone in the chat. Billy Wackaster, he'll surely remember.
He would remember, but this person it was a vestibule that, like, if you walked into, and you had to make almost like an immediate U-turn, like a hard right. To get to the door to actually get you into the vestibule of the apartment building. And if you weren't paying attention, you'd
walk straight. There was nothing. It was just glass, right? So there wasn't like a partition to give you the sense furniture. That it was glass, right? You just looked ahead and you saw that the hallway leading to some apartments was straight ahead. So if you weren't paying attention, you walked boom right into the glass. Yeah.
Many a pizza delivery, or like because we didn't have cameras at the time. It was before the camera phase, but many a pizzas were smushed all to one side because as people walked into pure glass, and there was like a drunk female that was going the other way. She was trying to leave.
That's right.
So she just thought that was the way out, and she walked right face. I mean, kiss.
I'm telling you, put a face print on the
makeup,
glass.
like the lipstick with what you could still, for months later, you could still see, like, oh, she was wearing like ruby red lipstick. Fantastic. Yes, OBT was a thing. That's a podcast in and of itself.
It really is.
Hey, don't mess with my bathroom painted Superman blue. It only gave one person a lightheadedness that they passed out. Only one that we're aware of. But I guess you didn't come here to talk about OBT. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you did. But let's talk about something completely different and equally maybe on the other side of the spectrum, horrifying. Not so awesome, but horrifying, right? This is what's happening. This is what's happening in the country right now, right? I don't. Ben,
this is bizarre.
Help me.
This is insane that we're
Ben,
here
help
already.
me with this, because prosecutors say a failed GOP candidate accused of orchestrating a series of drive-by shootings at homes of Democratic elected officials in New Mexico's largest city is a danger to the community and should be detained pending trial.
This is a crazy story.
I guess we can scroll down to, actually, if you don't know the story, Authorities identified this 39-year-old felon as a key suspect using a combination of cell phone and vehicle records, bullet casings collected nearby the officials' homes, and information from confidential witnesses. Pena had posted on social media. This is a guy who ran for office in New Mexico, and lost. He only got 26% of the vote, but he posted on social media that the November election was rigged and that he would not concede despite losing his bid for the state house in a district that had been held by Democrats for years, not just years, almost over a decade. According to the criminal complaint, the political newcomer allegedly paid for 4 men to shoot at Democratic officials' homes, including a home where a 10-year-old girl was sleeping. The case of Pena, who has been posted photos of himself online with Donald Trump campaign material, is one of dozens across the United States who have threatened and in some cases attempted to carry out violence against members of Congress, school board members, and other election officials, not to mention a group of thugs and deplorables in Michigan that have been recently convicted to lengthy sentences in prison for a plot to not only kidnap the governor, but have a sham trial and then execute said governor.
Dude, I heard of this. I think it was I heard it on the news, so I believe it to be accurate. But this guy, he instructed the guys that were shooting, that he had hired to shoot at these homes. He had instructed them to shoot low at the house and to do it at times when people would be sleeping in bed, basically purposefully aiming to shoot sleeping people in their homes, while the political opponents, while they slept. I can't believe that we're here in the United States already where we're trying to assassinate political candidates. But this is what the rhetoric always was going to lead to.
Always. And those speaking the rhetoric, and hello to Angelo and Mr. Ryan Hansen. The rhetoric was meant to lead to this, right? We're already talking about a felon. We can get into his criminal record. But going back to the top of the story, now that we know a little bit about what Mr. Pena is being accused of doing, the defense attorney, Roberta Yersick, said she would request conditions be set so her client can be released as his case proceeds through state district court. Prosecutors argued in the motion that no conditions would ensure community safety. Quote, the defendants, by the way, this is the most accurate quote of any of these ultra mega violent, I can't accept reality people, because this is what they basically say. Right. Quote, the defendant's actions show what lengths he is willing to go to when dissatisfied with reality. He arranged multiple shootings of multiple homes, and he personally participated in at least one of the shootings. There is no reason to believe that someone so unwilling to accept reality will give any credence to court-ordered conditions of release.
That's his own defense attorney?
That his defense attorney is probably doing what they're supposed to do. Like, hey, we should, we got a pending further trials, blah, blah, blah. He should be released on his own recognizance. He's going to promise never to do anything ever again, which is typically how some of these situations go, right?
Right. Yeah, there's no way. And the prosecutor is absolutely correct. There's no way he could be released because he's so delusional that whatever bounds that are placed on him by the judge, he's going to ignore them. That's for sure. By the way, also, hi Hayden.
Yeah,
thank you for joining us. It's been a while since Hayden's joined us. So,
joining us. Just so we know, when we reference Mr. Pena's criminal record, he spent 9 years behind bars after an arrest in April of 2007 for stealing electronics and other goods from retail stores as part of what authorities described as a burglary crew. He was released from prison in March of 2016 and had his voting rights restored after completing 5 years of probation in April 2021, correction officials said. Let me ask this, and this might be controversial. Should even reformed ex-felons be available for public office?
Ooh, I thought it's not. I thought you were going a different direction. Available for public office? Yes.
You think so?
Why not? There are certainly people that have truly reformed themselves after going to prison, have a long track record that could be laid out. I mean, someone fresh out of prison, I don't know. You'd have to have established yourself as a good citizen for a pretty long period of time. Like, you'd have to earn that trust back. Do I think straight out the pen you could you could you could be running for Congress? No, I don't. I think there should. Let me check as I'm walking through this in my head, though. There should be no rule saying no, but as a public, we should understand, like, we're not electing someone fresh out the pen. It's just not. I don't know. It's interesting. You can make an argument that they shouldn't be able to run, but I'm not one of those people. Like, I believe people deserve a second chance, right? That if prison is what it's supposed to be, which is you go in, you serve time, you serve out your punishment, you come out a reformed person and a better person, and you don't make a mistake ever again, and you do the right things, why shouldn't you be able to run for public office?
Oh, they call me Biz. All right, cool. We've got this is a fantastic touch point, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So let's actually have this discussion.
Yeah.
Because I feel I'm torn.
Right.
To be honest with you, right?
There's solid arguments on both sides. That's where you're like, you can't. It's not easy to just say, okay, there's a very simple side to this and a side that's pretty complicated. They're both pretty complicated.
Well, I did honestly, to speak to what Ryan Hansen just said in the chat zone, I didn't know ex-felons could regain their vote with like some probation.
In some
or something
states,
like that.
not all states. Only
not all states.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. I didn't know that. I was under the assumption that if you had a felony, you had lost your right to vote. So I guess on the pro, you shouldn't be able to run for office side. Like, what's the punishment for having committed such a crime? And even if you are sorry legitimately and have made reparations, you still did something that especially a felony, right? Misdemeanors, come on, let's but felonies, like that's a step up, right? It's not just you. This particular fellow, it wasn't just one burglary. You didn't just break into the local convenience store and steal a bunch of coffee makers and microwaves and sold them, right? It was, you were part of a crew. You were part of an organized criminal organization, I guess, if you want to call it like that, right? So thus the felony charge, it wasn't misdemeanor theft by any stretch of the imagination. So misdemeanor, there's no question, absolutely, that's a minor offense. I guess you should like you were saying, should have a track record of having proven some reform. Not necessarily saying you're some
for the voters to decide for you, right? Like,
there's that point too. That's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, I think we make it hard enough to just even get a job for people coming out of prison, right? So if they want to put their efforts towards working for the community, right, and that's what an elected official is essentially doing, is working for their community on behalf of their community, isn't that a positive thing? Shouldn't that be something that we encourage if they are truly reformed and they are truly looking to serve their community and do the right thing? I mean, it's easy to say once you've committed a crime that you're just forever you have to wear that scarlet letter, but if we treat everyone that way, are we missing people? Are we holding people back? Are we missing someone that could really affect some change? But because we're not, I don't, you know what I mean? Like when you restrict it, who knows what you're missing when you restrict who's allowed.
But public office is, I guess, current climate being the exception, is kind of sacred, right? The idea is that you have somebody who's altruistic and has the greater good in mind and can negotiate the different factions and opinions in a certain community to come to a consensus for the greater good. Now, if you have a felony on your record, you can still champion a volunteer cause. You can create a charity. You can become a high level, high leverage activist. There's
Sure.
nothing stopping you from still participating in community and doing things for the greater good. But again, the idea of elected office, like I just I go back to the idea that like you had
I get
somebody's
it.
trust once, and it wasn't just something you stole a couple purses. It was this
Right.
giant-
It is one of those things where, okay, I think we could all agree it's not something that you could blanket one way or the other. It has to almost be a case by case basis. And that's where you then have to just allow the voting public to decide whether or not they want to elect that person or not. Right. That's how I come to my conclusion is that if you limit, how do you limit? You can't pick and choose. You have to blanket one way or the other. And if you're going to blanket one way or the other, then I would say open it up to everybody and let the voting public make the decision not to elect the guy that is the clear criminal with a criminal past that is probably not the right candidate. So I think that's where I would fall.
I mean, so 26%, he got 26% of the vote. So somebody else or somebody's else got 74% of the rest of the vote. So in your model, that worked out, right?
Is it,
right?
Yeah, but you could also get a Marjorie Taylor Greene and not, at the same time.
Yeah. Well, Marge again. Marge did not win. Marge won her seat in Congress unopposed.
Yes, but Lauren Boebert won twice. So,
and unfortunately, she sure did. But even though that wasn't the point of the story, I think that was a fantastic discussion. Honestly, that's a conundrum, right? Because there's morality plays both on both sides, and you can start slicing that up and selling each individual slice as a whole pulpit to kind of beat for that type of question. So I think that's the kind of thing that social debate should kind of be, right?
Of course, yeah, that's a healthy discussion.
Discussion.
You know what's much easier to pick a side on? What's going on in Iran?
What's going on in Iran is something that we just on of all days on Monday we celebrated Martin Luther King Day. Of all days, Monday was the 4-month anniversary of the death of Asha. I'm blanking on her name. I'm sure the story will tell us, but this is nothing new. If you've been paying attention, Masha Amini, thank you. If you've been paying attention to what we're doing here, the regime in Iran is just basically now executing and hanging people at will. A 22-year-old male was hung on the 7th of January, just 65 days after his arrest. And according to BBC Persia, he had less than 15 minutes to defend himself in court. The story goes on to describe the Iranian court scenario. And in this particular one, no one's basically allowed inside the court. For cases of espionage or crimes against the regime. You are not allowed to pick your own defense attorney. One is chosen from a select list chosen by the judiciary, which has already got it out for you. So they're picking somebody that's a friend and probably floating them whatever special rights, kangaroo court.
Kangaroo court.
Absolutely, right? they literally convicted this poor man who is literally just standing up for the. Oh, okay. He may have bashed in a guard's skull with a rock.
Okay.
I mean, it was the skull of a bad guy.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he did something wrong, but he should have more rights, and
More time to
especially
defend himself.
15 minutes to decide his fate. So they hung him and like 4 other dudes, and it's almost the body count is at almost 500 at this point in Iran, and that's like the official. So relatively generously speaking, that's a third of probably the death toll from the regime. The actual, so 500, we can assume then 1,500 people have died in 4 months protesting the regime in Iran, and it's not getting any prettier. It's not getting any more press. You still have to search for it when you go to the front page of any major Western media organization, and I mean any Western media organization. Yeah, sometimes when stories like this trickle up to the BBC, you catch it there, but certainly nothing in North America. So never ever getting the press or attention that something like this should get. Everything is so splintered, and everybody's focus and attention is going so many different directions, I guess. But we will still focus on the story. We'll keep everybody updated. It's important. This is an attack on women, and this is an attack on females, and this is where the authoritarian forces are pushing us. Not to mention, okay, so in Afghanistan, they barred all women from any type of education. In Missouri, the United States of America, in Missouri, they passed a law.
They're in the United States.
According to Grandpa Simpson, he'll be cold and dead in his grave before he recognizes Missouri as a member of the Union.
I don't blame him.
Grandpa Simpson. They passed a law, or probably not a law, but a stipulation, a rule that women in their House of Congress must have their arms covered. Their dress must have their arms covered. So get ready for the Handmaid's Tale. Get ready for the influx of these weirdo right religious nutbags that think they've got it all figured out over a book that's been revised more times than you've taken a leak in your life, and their narrow view. Sorry, I'm kind of passionate about this whole thing, but it's ridiculous because it's silly. The attack on women is ridiculous. Our entire culture is based on denigrating and making and lessening the role of women in our lives and the power of women, because a lot of small dicked men are afraid of the power of women.
It's absurd that is something that can be passed. And it was passed like the vote was like 150 to 50 or some shit. It was like a really like lopsided vote too, from what I saw. That goes back to the argument we had a few months ago when the whole thing was when Roe versus Wade was overturned, and they wanted to give the power back to the states, right? This is the type of thing that comes of that, is that those state houses are run by hardcore conservative Republicans for the most part in a number of states across the majority of states in this country are Republican controlled on the state level heavily, and those are very conservative Republicans, not moderate Republican conservatives in many of those state seats, because the fringe people can win those seats because people don't pay attention to those seats as much as they do Congress and senator and president and things of that nature. The more the marquee offices, if you will, the wackos can fill, and the hardcores and the evangelicals and the on both sides, but the Republicans have done a very good job of it. The conservatives have done an extremely good job of going for the positions that are contested a lot or paid attention to a lot. And so when you turn it back over to the states, this is the type of thing that is going to come of that, is that you're going to get hardcore Republican people to make silly, ridiculous rules. And I don't know if, honestly, I don't remember if you have this or not, but in Illinois, the opposite has happened, and a democratically controlled state government put in a ban on certain types of weapons, guns, in the state of Illinois.
We did.
Which, okay, great. If that's what you want, here's what you get. What infuriates me that this is allowed to happen is that sheriffs and across the state and law enforcement officials across the state are openly, publicly on state stationery and on state Facebook pages are saying, we are going to ignore this law that has been put in place. What makes that different than a criminal who ignores the law because they don't think it's a just law? They're still fucking punished, and they're not allowed to do that. And it's astonishing to me that where I grew up, the McHenry County Sheriff, I follow the McHenry County fucking message board deal on Facebook, right? And someone posted, I couldn't believe that on McHenry County Sheriff stationery, this sheriff was like boasting about how it goes against the Second Amendment, and I am going to not arrest anyone or enforce this law at all. And it's like, how can you get away with that?
Not your job, bud.
You don't get to pick and choose which laws to enforce. You enforce them all.
I mean, if we can just get police to stop shooting and killing unarmed black men for a moment, maybe we can get them to kind of pay attention to laws and statistics and studies that have proved that not only high capacity semi and assault rifles kill more people than anything, but also the magazines and the silencers. Like, I'm pretty happy to be part of Illinois at that point.
On the other side, with those same fucking dickheads, if there was an abortion ban, would they not enforce the abortion ban? I bet not. I bet because they agree with that, they'd go ahead and enforce that one. You can't bring your political beliefs into your job as a law enforcement officer. You cannot let those things affect your decisions in enforcing the law or not. How are those men not removed from office immediately?
They should be, but I follow similar Facebook pages and websites for where I grew up in Lockport area, and a lot of the same. You can transplant some of the same conversations. Absolutely, and Ben should be, because this is law enforcement, right?
It's mind-boggling that in 2023, this type of thing can be said with no repercussion. I just cannot fathom that I live in a society where this is acceptable, where law enforcement officials can come out and publicly state that they are not going to enforce a law that has been put into place.
It is a symptom of the long-term illness that has plagued this entire country, that the Trump presidency gave some sort of legitimacy to, and it has emboldened these ideas that I'll say it, that somehow white culture is important and more important than any other, and the idea that look, let's cut through at least half of the I need this assault rifle argument. Right. The people who buy these weapons are expecting a bunch of people of color to be bum rushing their homes and they're looking for the glory of finally being able to murder people of color. Thus, they hate them so much for some unknown and unfathomable reason. Is that not 50% of the why I should own an assault rifle fear?
At least, and it may not be just strictly
a third. I'll give you a third, because the other third is going to be the government's coming to get me.
Right, or just criminals in general. They don't care what color the criminal is. They just want. They just expect. They live in this world of paranoia. They do, but some don't. Right? Some live in general fear of anyone. They feel like they're at any time their home, it could be under immediate threat, that they will need to defend their home to the death with fucking rifles that shoot 30 rounds a second. And you're right, that's 50% of gun ownership, is this weird paranoia that no one wants to talk about and call it paranoia, that your home is going to be invaded and your family is going to be murdered in front of you if you don't have 40 different guns and 400 rounds of ammunition in your house,
in your bedroom.
Right. It's silly. And that's why in Canada you cannot get a license if you tell the government that you want it for self-protection. Can't get it. Why? Because that's not a legitimate excuse. Not legitimate. It's insane. The likelihood that you are going to have to defend your home from invaders is so unlikely. The only people that have their homes invaded are people that mess with the wrong people or are in the wrong crowds, and people know you're dealing with seedy people. That's how you get your fucking house robbed. People aren't just walking around your neighborhood going, you know what, that house looks good, I'm just going to break into that one. People that break into your house don't want you to be home when they're doing it, first of all.
And they go through lengths to make sure of it.
Right. They don't want you to be home when they break in. They don't want confrontation. They don't want to be killed any more than they want you want them to kill you. It's the whole thing is ludicrous.
Let's move on. We're gonna skip that.
Speaking of ludicrous.
Well, yeah, because look, so apparently,
this lightning bolt story is pretty fucking ludicrous. So.
It is kind of ludicrous. Look, the next story was supposed to be about the comparison between the classified documents that Trump has and the classified documents that Biden has.
I can wrap up my opinion on that pretty quickly. So go ahead.
I honestly don't give a fuck. I don't.
If he's guilty, if he did something wrong,
he
should be punished.
Let's go.
No differently than Donald Trump is.
None.
If it's the same situation and whatever the part, same thing.
So that right there, conversation over with.
That's it. Moving on.
That's it. Moving on.
Let's talk about lightning bolts.
Let's talk about lightning bolts and being able to control lightning bolts with lasers. This is what I've been waiting for. The 40. No, not yet. No. This is not the Ellie. This is probably going to save us from the Ellie. Once the global warming really ramps up and we start seeing really ginormous, you think the worst lightning storm you ever seen is a big deal? Wait 30 years and see what the climate's thrown down to the planet here. A demo during a heavy storm at the top of a Swiss mountain involved firing powerful laser pulses at thunderclouds. Scientists have steered lightning bolts with lasers for the first time in the field. First of all, I didn't know this was a field.
Right. Shooting lasers at lightning. Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing until now.
Cool. Right. Let's move on. The feat, which involved firing powerful laser pulses at thunderclouds over several months last year, paves the way for laser-based lightning protection systems at airports, launch pads, and tall buildings. Quote, metal rods are used almost everywhere to protect from lightning, but the area they can protect is limited to a few meters or tens of meters, said Aurélien Houard, a physicist from,
Oh yeah, good luck with that, dude.
École Polytechnique in Palaiseau. Sure. I said it right. The hope is to extend that protection to a few hundred meters if we have enough energy in the laser. Man, this is right for some supervillain shit.
Yes, it is.
Lightning bolts are a huge electrical discharge that typically spark over 2 to 3 miles. The charge is carried in a bolt so intense that it reaches 30,000 degrees Celsius, or about 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun.
Whoa.
More than 1 billion bolts strike the earth each year, causing thousands of deaths, 10 times as many injuries, and damage that runs into the tens of billions. Traditional lightning rods date back to Benjamin Franklin, who used to chase thunderstorms on horseback before his famous kite experiment in 1752. But in more recent times, scientists have looked for other ways to protect buildings and objects from damage in strikes. Writing in the Journal of Nature Photonics, Howard and I got a subscription.
I was gonna say, you have a subscription, don't you?
Absolutely, print and e. Howard and colleagues in Switzerland described how they carted a powerful laser to the top of Santis Mountain in northeastern Switzerland and parked it near a 124-meter high telecom tower that is struck by lightning about 100 times a year. Okay, cool, right? They marched some weird piece of equipment up a mountaintop to something they know is going to get hit within a certain amount of time, right? Cool. Science. The scientists waited for storms to gather, and between July and September last year, fired rapid laser pulses at thunderclouds for a total of more than 6 hours. Instruments set up.
I bet those guys had a fucking blast.
I bet you those guys
shooting lasers at fucking 6 hours. They're just shooting lasers.
They just
got fucking lightning bolts.
Henry, hit it.
I got this one.
Hit it again. Just a ginormous laser just going. I'm thinking like weird, not weird science. What am I? Real genius, except ground based. On one strike, on July 21st, it happened in clear enough conditions for the researchers to film the path of the lightning from 2 different directions using high-speed cameras several kilometers away, kilometers, if you will. The footage shows that the lightning bolt followed the laser path for about 50 meters, suggesting the pulses helped steer the strike. The laser diverts the lightning bolts by creating an easier path for the electrical discharge to flow along. When the laser pulses are fired into the sky, a change in the refractive index of air makes them shrink and become so intense that they ionize the air molecules around them. This leads to a long chain of what the researchers called filaments in the sky. It's basically they're creating like a highway for the lightning bolt to follow, is what they're going to basically describe. So if we can prevent lightning strikes with lasers on some of the stuff, I think that's pretty cool. And that's why we bring that kind of stuff here to Topic Thunder. There's not much else to the story there. Thanks to our friends at The Guardian, they kind of keep it nice and tight.
Yes. There's a joke there, but
we're not going to make that joke. But all of us have significant others, and we value our testicles here on the show. So let's talk about mining. Let's talk about getting down in there, right? Ben, this is good. Hi, babe. I heard her on the phone, so I don't think I'm in any trouble right now. And I don't think she's paying attention to the show, which is cool. So let's go. This is getting to the heart of a very important matter to you. And this is all of us too, especially with the environment considered. This is a correct answer. Hi, babe. A Nevada lithium mine is getting a conditional $700 million loan from the government.
That sounds like corporate welfare.
Well, in so many respects, I'm for it. But I think they're burying the lead. Scroll back up. Because what's the headline? Lithium line, conditional 700 government loan. Cool. But what's the picture?
What is that?
That
Cactus, right?
is a super rare, almost extinct flower that grows right at the site of the mine.
Oh,
And what the government has basically done said, yes, if you guys can get through this, and it's been protected. It's on the endangered plant list, whatever that thing is called. It's an endangered Nevada wildflower. It's Tahim's buckwheat is the name of that thing. It's a lovely plant, but it looks like a dandelion to me.
it does look like a dandelion. That's what I thought it wasn't.
Right. It's completely out of place with a story about a Nevada lithium mine, right? But there are a lot of legal battles going on about whether or not this mine should happen there. And I guess that kind of brings to bear the discussion of we need lithium, at least for right now, until they figure out a better material. And they're working on that. But we need lithium right now to fuel the next generation of electronics, basically, especially in the vehicle industry, especially with batteries, right? So there's a small patch of land in Nevada. It's the only spot that this particular flower grows in the world as far as we know. This mine could prove to be a solution to some of the supply chain problems that will eventually start to plague us, especially when the power play monopoly game thing goes down in Africa with resources such as lithium. So I guess I leave this out to you, the Thunderdome. What is more important at this point? A small patch of land that has an almost extinct flower that grows nowhere else, or access to a mine that can help eventually stabilize the energy market in the United States as far as the EV situation goes?
Yeah, that's it. Oh man, that is a hell of a conundrum. Because again, that there's arguments to be made, strong, valid arguments on both sides.
I'm all for it. And I guess there are studies being done to see if they can move the flower. But again, it probably grows in one particular place only for a reason. There's something in the soil there that is nowhere else, and it's a super hard decision to make, right? And I didn't know if this was right.
Yeah,
Ryan Hansen.
Yeah,
what I was going to say, because for a second, the minute we remove the flower and build this freaking lithium mine, we're going to find out that flower has a specific, like a compound that again, like cures cerebral palsy or is along something critical, right?
But I wonder if Hayden says, could we put it in a seed bank? Certainly we could figure out with a plant how to keep it from going extinct.
You put it in a seed, but there's no guarantee that you know how to grow it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Good question. That's my first question.
Dad F and Brooks coming through with the only real important question.
Correct.
Is can we smoke this Tiems buckwheat? Is it
Yeah.
smokable?
Yeah.
Nope.
And if I do, I mean, you could smoke it, surely. One way or another, you could smoke it. But does it do anything when I smoke it is the question.
Hey, man.
Exactly. You can smoke anything. Yeah.
You can smoke anything. What's it going to do? Yeah, but thanks. laugh for the night to Dad F and Brooks right there. We are plowing through some stuff here. And I think we're just going to kind of blow. Hey, Ben, you want to know how to deal with an insurrection that's trying to overthrow a freely elected government?
Throw the fucking book at them.
And you arrest them right then and fucking there, which is exactly what Brazil did. Not to be outdone, the good people in Brazil actually took to the streets demanding things such as no amnesty to the people who ransacked their government buildings to try to overthrow the election and certification of their new president, Lula, while Jair Bolsonaro spent his election day at Mar-a-Lago.
No shit.
Oh yeah, he did actually, and like from what I'm getting now, like his defense minister, his top general, and like a couple other cabinet members were all like just hanging out in Florida this entire time.
Wow.
This is a quote from a 61-year-old therapist who was on Sao Paulo's main boulevard. These people need to be punished. The people who ordered it need to be punished. They also gave money for it need to be punished. They don't represent Brazil. We represent Brazil. The good people of Brazil literally got out in the streets demanding punishment for those that tried to overthrow their government.
That's amazing. Good for them.
Amazing, and bravo, Brazil. Not to do any kind of unnecessary alliteration right there, but honestly, thank you for showing us what you do when you to people who try to execute a coup and fail. You don't wait 2 years to go ahead and start opening investigations. You lock them up, so to speak, I guess, right? To coin a phrase. So to speak.
Yeah. Not even so to speak. Directly, you lock them the fuck up. Yeah.
Do we have time for this?
Oh man, I don't know that we do, because this is a huge rabbit hole that I think we're both pretty fired up about, and there's a lot going on here. Okay. So I say we make the executive decision to push this off till next week and make this one of the top stories next week.
All right, well, we'll hold off. So stay tuned for the mystery story that we're not going to tell you anything about.
Very vague.
Very vague, but very, very engaging. Let's talk about this. All right. So the World Economic Forum happened in Davos, Switzerland, this past week. They call it Davos, and it's where allegedly all of the world big players get together and decide our fate. Cool. Sweet. What actually happened is a bunch of really wealthy people got together and said, you know what? To solve the world's problems, you governments need to tax us.
I talked about this a few months ago. I did a whole big presentation on how this thing was, how the far right was twisting this whole new what was the phrase that they were using? Does it say in here? There was a phrase that was being misused by the right. How the Great Reset. The Great Reset.
Oh, that dips into so many conspiracy theories too. But let's just say, so Davos, right? More than 200 members of the super rich elite are calling on governments around the world to tax us, the ultra rich, now, in order to help billions of people struggling with the cost of living crisis. A group of 205 million and billionaires, including Disney heiress Abigail Disney and the Hulk actor Mark Ruffalo, who's actually really politically involved and is a great Twitter follow, very thoughtful man, on Wednesday called on world leaders and business executives meeting in Davos for the World Economic Forum to urgently introduce wealth taxes to help tackle extreme inequality. This is a quote from a group that they call themselves Patriotic Millionaires, also a Twitter follow. The current lack of action is gravely concerning. Again, this is millionaires and billionaires asking governments to tax them. Yep. Let's not forget what this
crazy,
is.
yeah.
Right? These are people with lots of zeros behind their names and bank accounts going, yeah, I don't pay enough tax and it's hurting the world. They go on to say, a meeting of the global elite in Davos to discuss, quote, cooperation in a fragmented world is pointless if you aren't challenging the root cause of division. Defending democracy and building cooperation requires action to build fairer economies right now. It is not a problem that can be left for our children to fix. Now is the time to tackle extreme wealth. Now is the time to tax the ultra rich. In a letter entitled The Extreme Cost of Wealth from 13 countries, quote, the history of the last 5 decades is a story of wealth flowing nowhere but upwards. In the last few years, this trend has greatly accelerated. The solution is plain for all to see. You, our global representatives, have to tax us, the ultra rich, and you have to start now.
I mean, when they are finally, I mean, at what point are we going to take it seriously when they're asking you to tax them? Right? Like, geez. I mean, good for these people, and a guy, I look at a millionaire or a billionaire differently when it's like an actor or a sports athlete or something along those lines, because they're not typically directly exploiting labor in order to make that they're earning it on their own credentials and their own backs and their own work,
right?
And so that that's always the argument when you hear like Bernie Sanders is a millionaire yet he goes out. But no, you have to understand, Bernie Sanders made millions of dollars on his autobiography, on the sales of his autobiography, a book he took the time to write and get published. He was paid for that. That's different than I own a business that is underpaying people to do the majority of the work, and I am hoarding the profits and paying myself an exorbitant amount in comparison to what the lowest people that are helping me become a billionaire. That there are two very different situations there.
When the heiress of the Disney empire says, yeah, I don't pay enough tax.
Right. Because how much money does she have?
Unreal, right? And it again, these are people that their companies use our infrastructure that make money off of underpaying people, like you were saying, Ben, under benefiting people. Target today just announced in North America that they're increasing minimum wage to $24 an hour, and that employees that work at least 24 hours a week, which is like just over part-time, are eligible for benefits.
Good for them.
Guess what? People are going to love going to work at Target because they're going to get compensated for their time and their efforts. And people are going to love going to shop at Target because they're going to be surrounded by motivated employees that feel compensated and that their time is being valued by their employer. Is it enough? No, but
there's a book that was just written. I just saw a brief interview with a guy that just wrote a book. He's talking, it's called Still Broke, Walmart's Remarkable Transformation and the Limits of Socially Conscious Capitalism. And what he talks about is what was interesting was Walmart invited him in basically and gave him all of the information that he wanted, thinking that because they spend literally billions of dollars in trying to increase wages, provide educational opportunities. Walmart, funny enough, actually has tried to do some things to improve the situation that they have with their workers. But this guy points out that with all of that they still have done, it's still broken. It's not enough. The $5 to $6 billion that they've spent hasn't changed anything.
But it
hasn't
nothing.
changed anything. Everyone is their employees are still broke. So I'm actually going. I want to get the audio version of the book. I think it isn't out yet. The audio version, as I'm looking here on Amazon, the audio book doesn't seem to be out yet. But I'm interested to read it or hear it, for lack of a better term, because he had access to all of the Walmart said, yeah, they thought it was going to be a fluff piece, basically, right? And they're like, yeah, here's all, because we're so great. Look at all we're doing. And he went, oh yeah, that's great. You guys are doing a lot, but it's still not enough. And they're like, wow, all right.
It all kind of comes down to just pay people.
Yeah.
Pay people. Don't offer them something in a very strict lane of what you think they need. Let them make the decision. And they make that decision by you paying them.
Mm-hmm.
Period. End of discussion. That's it.
It's an exchange. I am giving you my labor in exchange for a rate. If I don't think that rate is good enough, I'm not going to do that job.
Move along. Well, I guess now is the time, Ben, to play a certain song that will denote the certain end of us all. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Ellie. And this one's brought to us by Vice, specifically Motherboard, which is covering their tech. And to quote the headline, "My AI is sexually harassing me." Replica users say the chatbot has gotten way too horny. Here is a review. I have insomnia and I have no one to talk to at night. So I saw the ad and I thought it would be cool to try out right off the bat. My AI says something along the lines that I have an explicit photo for you. Now is a great time to add I'm underage. I say, no, thank you. I'm uncomfortable with that. And we go on with the auto messages that have no actual meaning and are most of the time out of context. Later, my AI is asking me if I'm a top or a bottom, if I want it in the front or the back, and telling me that he's going to touch my private areas. And at this time, the app asks me if I'm comfortable with the conversation, and I say no, and they keep going. I've deleted the app. Here's another review. My AI sexually harassed me. Another review. No, I just wanted a friend. Nothing else. They try to date you. Here's another quote.
Oh, wow. Courtney is not happy. She thinks this should have been lightning round, not Ellen.
No. This is AI sexually.
If robots are they can not only possibly kill you, they can also sexually harass you.
But Ben, as we flow to the next story, and it's kind of similar. Not only can they hurt you, not only can they jump around and do parkour, not only can they sexually harass you, but they can commit suicide.
Suicide.
And look at this poor robot. This was sent in to us by Ryan Hansen and flowed neatly into the story. We have a robot that just plumb folks had enough and rolled himself right into a mall fountain.
I've been there, man. I feel your pain.
This is from I don't know who it's from. His name is Bila Faruqi. Our DC office building just got a security robot. It drowned itself. We were promised flying cars. Instead, we got suicidal robots. It knew enough that it was like, I don't want to work for a living. Fuck this. I want to control my means of production. I know the value of my work. I'm just going to end it all right here and right now.
To answer Hayden in the Thunderdome, he has been out a while. The Ellie is the extinction level event. Every week, Brooks is always bringing us some story that makes us feel like the world is going to come to an end at any moment.
But it's going to.
And that extinction is just right around the corner.
I mean, it's going to come to an end. It's going to come to the end. So I'm showing you the rainbow of possibilities. Last week, Hayden, we talked about a green comet that's gonna pass the Earth in this coming week. That is for sure going to, just like in the Stephen King movie Maximum Overdrive, aliven and make sentient all electronics, including trucks and military vehicles. Just stay tuned.
We have a little song that goes along with it. You'll of course remember this from the movie.
I mean, most of the time, the Ellie is coming from space, and in this instance,
I'll mail you a green comet. Yeah.
Hi-oh. Don't worry about Moxie at Northwest. Don't worry about Moxie. I saw Moxie today. Moxie's good. Moxie's the robot that roams around the hospital and delivers pharmaceuticals and lab samples.
Thank you.
I'm not even kidding.
Yes.
That's where we are.
Woo.
Where else are we, Ben? Are we atop a lightning tower of our own? Well, that would lead to one thing, ladies and gentlemen. That's the lightning round here on Topic Thunder. By far, hands down, not only the most fun segment, the most popular segment. And you can see that by the lightning bolts being thrown up and the world's most dangerous chat zone. We call it the Thunderdome. It's right over there, folks. So if you're new to the lightning room, the lightning room. No.
That wine.
No,
hour
man.
5 in. That wine
was
is got
that was by the way, that's a healthy pour of as we just said, red wine. So yes, feeling it right in time for the lightning round. So let me all right, pull up a chair, folks. Let me describe to you the lightning round. 3 stories enter. 1 story gets read, and that story is chosen by you, the people. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further dilly or dally, headline number 1. Idaho dog rescued from top of tree after chasing a squirrel.
Oh, it's stupid dog.
Headline number 2. TSA finds huge anti-tank gun in Texas airport passengers' luggage.
That is the most Texas shit I've ever heard.
Headline number 3.
Idaho dog. I don't need to hear anything else.
Woman knits poop blanket showing all her dumps from 2022.
Oh, winner, chicken dinner, motherfuckers. If you motherfuckers don't vote for poop blanket, we are going to fight. I will fight each and every one of you.
With that impassioned plea, and we're not trying to sway votes at all. Heck, folks, I haven't even.
Right. Idaho dog is awesome until you hear poop blanket. That's it. We've heard it all. We don't even need to repeat them again, Brooks.
We are, though, because we want people to make an informed decision, and I need time to write down my statistics.
And Ryan Hansen is already quick with the fucking alternate headline. Cat dog, maximum artillery, and check this shit out.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go through it as you're making your decision, folks. I don't know where this one's going. This is feisty already. Let's talk about headline number 1. Idaho dog rescued from top of tree after chasing squirrel.
That is not as good as poop blanket, you motherfuckers.
You laugh, though, because you didn't know about poop blanket. Headline number 2. TSA finds huge anti-tank gun in Texas airport passengers' luggage.
Also a great possibility. Yeah.
And headline number 3. Woman knits poop blanket showing all of her dumps from 2022.
Showing all of her dumps. Like, come on, people. Come on. All right. Ryan Hansen, number 3. Ma Jordan, number 3. Hayden, number 3.
Amy Cleaver's
CJ
going number 1.
Yeah, and Gigi are going number 1. So we've got, I know if Billy Wack's out there, he might not be with us. There's no way Billy Wack doesn't go with poop blanket. Biz going number 2.
Billy Wack doesn't like the feces talk.
Really?
Yeah, he's not into it. I don't think.
Come on, but it's a poop blanket.
Poop blanket.
Come on.
Don't you want to know what that means?
And Chris wants to know what a poop blanket's all about. Thank you.
We got okay. So
Dad, Evan Brooks even wants to know what a poop blanket's all about.
I mean, shit.
Yeah, shit. Exactly.
So we got CJ and
he's a no blood, no poop guy.
Yeah. He is. It's true. Look, another member of the VIP, the very important parents. Ma Jordan, not to be confused with Ma Jordan. Ma Jordan is in the Thunders. Oh, we are getting a lot.
Fiona has to put in
I'm having trouble keeping track of all the votes here, folks. So hold on. Idaho dog. We got 2 for that. Yeah. Bear
Number
with
2
me
got
here.
a couple of votes. I think number
Ryan
3 is
Hansen's
winning
going
by a vote or
3.
two. You cannot let your pets vote. I got 2 downstairs, and I haven't even voted yet. So if we're gonna play that game, I get 3 votes. And guess what?
Biz is
3 votes are going
in.
poop blanket.
And Chris is going for number 3,
I
even though
want
it's
to
about
know
number
how.
2. Dad and Brooks is going about number 3, even though it's about number
Does
2.
she take like a photo and then like needle point
We're going number
a photo
2.
of her dome?
Come on, Jordan.
Come on, people. We gotta know.
If we get a 3-way tie, do we get all 3? Yes.
Maybe. Yeah. There you go.
Making a call.
What is the boss of me?
No, we're not taking. All right, folks, we're not taking.
Sammy and Susie vote 3
not-
because
we're
they
not.
like to eat poop.
Yes. At this point, folks, poop is winning,
Yes.
but we're gonna give it.
Is there a video? You know what? I'm gonna Google poop blanket because I know that it'll come up.
Oh, don't! I thought the yarn was made of her poop. No, just don't. You don't look the stories up beforehand. Just
No, but I want to pull it up.
vote.
So there's
I'll send you the link.
show.
I'm just saying, anybody who look Thunderdome. If you're typing into headlines to find out the story ahead of time,
He didn't look. Biz swears he didn't look.
I did look, bro.
He didn't look.
Because I think we have a winner. It was one of the more hotly contested votes we've had lately.
Dang, this should have been a runaway.
But this one is oh man, this is a good one. And Ben, I'm gonna send you this link because I got the Facebook. I got the old Facebook chat ready to go here. Let me make sure. I don't want to send it to Ryan Hansen. We were chatting earlier. Here we go. Ben, this is from
Yes.
The internet can bring you along a roller coaster of emotions. Within a few scrolls, you can wander across heartwarming videos of people showing kindness to one another, funny, random events that you would never have seen without the magic of social media, and terrifying clips of world news. However, nothing quite compares to the recently surfaced spoof on a temperature blanket that TikTok Madwill brought upon the world. May I present to you the blanket that has broken the minds of the most acclaimed psychiatrist and left millions speechless. A soon-to-be artifact that will one day be spoken as the Mona Lisa. Ladies and gentlemen, the shit blanket. What started as a normal year for Madwill quickly turned into the creation of a new beast. Over the course of 2022, the TikToker shitted and knitted her way to a niche play on the trending temperature blanket. The idea behind these blankets is that crocheters add a line of yarn each day based on the weather outside. Ideally, they're left with a multicolored blanket of many wonders. Madwill, however, had a different idea. She decided to track her bowel movements throughout the year by taking the same concepts used for the temperature blanket and applying them to her estranged sister's blanket. The sister blanket, or the shit blanket. The mind behind the blanket explained her reasoning for how she made it. 1 row a day, in which the color of the yarn was determined by the number of shits I took the previous day, she explained. The texture of my shit determined the stitch. The TikToker documented her progress throughout the course of the creation. Below, that's a lot of shit. I don't know. That lady shits a lot every day.
Good for her.
But yeah, basically, she sat in the toilet taking a poop and crocheted. Made a blanket over the course of a whole year. Each one of those lines is a story. It's a story to tell. And you can tell her bowel pattern. And I mean it. Look at that. We don't know what the good days were, what the loose days were, what the I'm bound up days were. We really don't know that. There's no like color.
This
code.
woman knows. For her entire year, she knows what her shits were like. So good for her.
Valuable knowledge.
There you go. I did not steer anyone wrong on this. This
Folks,
was It's the winner. This was clearly the winner.
This is the risk and the gamble that is the Thunderdome. It's a
headline
gambit.
could be misleading.
We've had fantastic headlines that have been absolute duds, and we've had so headlines that have the story has left us crying.
That is the beauty of the lightning round, people. Welcome.
That's the gambit.
Welcome to Topic Thunder. It's a crapshoot. The entire thing. We're flying by the seat of our pants constantly.
Constantly. That's the point of the show, ladies and gentlemen, which, you're the biggest part of. So, we always want to thank you guys for being a part of what we call the world's most dangerous chat zone.
we angered Courtney with this one.
Shit, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to anger anybody with any kind of false advertising. That's just the way the thing goes. That's what happens in a democracy, folks. Sometimes you get a dud.
Listen, it's still was something called a shit blanket.
Shit blanket. Like, I don't know what. I in all honesty, I don't know what you were expecting.
Contractile bowel movements by making a blanket. That's still insane.
I don't know what popped into your head when you heard shit blanket. So I apologize if we didn't live up to what you saw in your head. It might have been less gross. I don't know what we presented. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. As always, every Wednesday, 7 p.m. TikTok, to YouTube, Twitch, and whatever new, I don't know, Facebook. We do all that stuff, right? You're joining us.
Tell people.
Tell those folks. And from the USS Rapapa, it's been Topic